Cisco shuts down the flip, texting app for your kids, no charge electric cars, and schools take cyberbullying head on. Dads on Tech episode 7 begins now. And we're good.
Tuesday, April 12th, 2011. With me, I have the usual suspects. I got Zev Mo Green from BreakBumper.tv, and I have Dan Anderson, simply a devoted daddy blogger. What is up, everybody?
All is
hey
well.
Guys.
All is well. Can't complain.
No, I can't complain. You know who can't complain?
Who's that?
Cisco or flip owners.
They can complain, yes.
They can complain. It
And
sounds
for good
it sounds
reason.
like, and it's running rampant throughout the Twitterverse and throughout the internetverse that Cisco is putting the kibosh on the flip product line. And Dan, why would you think that would be the case since 2007?
Well, I think parents still have just as much of an interest in doing home videos. So I mean, it's not that kind of lack of interest, but I think simply put, it's probably the iPhone. I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right? That when you want to do a quick video, you want to do a photograph, you're going to do it on your phone, and that's what's always with you. And the sad thing is, as good a video is that the flip cam does, and I love mine, it's just one more thing you'd have to carry around with you.
Yeah, that just about sums it up. Yeah, and Ray, you have a flip, so give me your impressions of it overall.
So I have two flips, right? I have an Xbox 360 branded flip, which is kind of cool. It's the mini, and then I also have the Ultra. And I like both products. I really do. The Ultra I had a problem with because the battery life was absolutely horrible on it. I might have had a defective flip. I'm not sure. But I really like them because they fit in your shirt pocket, they fit in your front pocket, your back pocket. It's just a very small device. You pull it out and you start shooting video. It does one thing very, very well. It's an appliance, right? It just shoots video. You take it, you plug it into your laptop or your desktop, and you upload it to whatever a network or whatever video sharing service you want to upload it to. So it was very, very good at that. But the problem with the flip is that it was outclassed, right? I mean, you had 2007, you had the iPhone coming out, then you had all the Android phone coming out, and just the mobile market in and of itself is such a rich, diverse ecosystem. And just like Dan said, I'd rather just carry my handset in my hand, and the one I use today is, thank you T-Mobile, is the MyTouch 4G, and I absolutely love this phone, and I can just take videos and I can upload it to Facebook all on one device. I mean, phone calls from here and whatnot. And I don't want to carry a secondary device. I just don't want to do that, especially when I get good quality video just from carrying my smartphone. So, it was an eventual necessity that this device would just be one day put to rest.
Yeah.
To the credit of the flip cam, one thing I really liked was that with it being a separate device, there's a separate battery that comes with it. And the more that I use my phone, the quicker that battery goes dead. And so by being able to do a lot of videos on the flip cam, that was better for me. And I just really like too that the way it was designed, that little switch you did with the USB thing that pops out, man, that's awesome. Where when I want to transfer video or photos from my phone, I mean, I have to bring a separate USB cable of some sort to plug into my phone or pull out the SD card. It's just not as simple. So I still probably plan to keep using my my flip cam as long as it still keeps working, because I just really like the darn thing. And with the tripod and all that, it's really great for doing home videos.
Yes, it really. I'm sorry, that wasn't the mini, it was the Minnow actually. It's a 360 branded Minnow. But yeah, I like it too, and I agree with Dan. I mean, it's really cool. The little flip action there, and you just plug it right in. It's a great little device, and yeah, anybody who owns a smartphone today, this is the bane of your existence, right? It's the fact that if you use your smartphone for too many features like video, pictures, hotspot, and you just name it, God forbid, making a phone call, you drain your battery considerably. So that was the nice thing about having this appliance, that you didn't have to worry about the battery life. Because my Minnow, great battery life. The Ultra, horrible battery life. But again, I think I just had a bad unit. So that's it. So Zev, what do you think about this?
My main concerns with the Flip have always been no external storage, so it always had limited internal storage. Of course, autofocus. For me, autofocus is a really essential thing at any tech event, but specifically with families. When you're at a family event, kids usually don't stay in one place. So if they're close, then it gets blurry, and if they're far away, then it's fine. Indoors was so-so. Outdoor shots were beautiful. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. The sound was pretty good, actually. I don't think that it had a mic in jack though. That was another issue. And what else? What were my other concerns? Basically those were my main issues. If you look at one of my favorite ones in that same space, if you're going to stay in that space, is the PlaySport, the Kodak PlaySport. I really like that because number one, it's water resistant. I think down to 10 feet. Shockproof, 1080p rather than 720. Although 720, really, you don't want to shoot in anything other than 720 because it's gargantuan. Has an SD card, also has the little flip USB thing to put in, and it does autofocus. It's not a fixed focal length. So, yeah, for the money, I kind of think that the PlaySport kicks its butt, and then for just practicality, I think in general the iPhone. The iPhone use is really the way to go, or any other Android smart device or whatever. Anything that has a decent video camera attached to it naturally. So,
and the other thing with the phone is you have that bigger screen, so you can see what you're filming. And that would actually be my one real hang-up with the flip cam, is that it was such a tiny little screen. I had a very difficult time determining, even when I was zoomed in, what I was really capturing until I watched it on either my computer or on my television later.
Right.
With your cell phone, man, you got usually a pretty decent sized screen. You know exactly what you're capturing, and it's easy to tell.
Yeah, it was very, very tough. I mean, that was my main frustration with the appliance is that the screen was so, especially on the Minnow, the screen is so small. You gotta have like squint just to make sure you're capturing the information or the talent correctly. And even when you did that, I mean, you kind of like hoped and prayed that you were getting a good video from the Minnow, from the Flip. But listen, I mean, they had a good run. Perhaps Google might have not Google. I'm sorry. Cisco should have seen the writing on the wall. Maybe they could have done it a little more with the Flip, make it add up some more features, maybe add some more services to it.
Yeah,
maybe
totally.
integrate it a little deeper with some of the Cisco's B2C products or B2B products.
Well, they didn't do anything with it this year at CES, which I was surprised. I thought that they would have done some major update, put something different, maybe an SD card or.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I still think, again, I'm not John Chambers, anybody, that intelligent at Cisco, but I just think that possibly they could have extended the shelf life of the Flip by adding additional features like an internal or an SD card, or even adding services, Cisco specific services, so you can actually connect to the Flip and upload pictures directly or movies directly. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just want to get the business all together. Who knows?
Yeah, I was very curious why they even bought it in the first place, because it really, other than their
B2C. I mean, that's the main reason they bought it. Right? I mean, they really want to get into the consumer market.
Other than their like video chat service, which is totally out of the price range for most consumers, I kind of see like there really wasn't any real reason to buy that other than just kind of a foray into the consumer market. But yeah.
I mean, that's the main reason, right? I mean, Cisco's been trying to get into the consumer market for a very long time now, and for some reason, they just can't really solidify their footing in the consumer market. I mean, they are, rock stars in the enterprise world, but just the consumer market seems to be somewhat elusive to them, and I think that's the main reason why they purchased Flip. They try to get a foothold into the consumer market. I mean, look, when they came out the Yumi, you and I discussed the Yumi.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, almost like a year ago now. And, we both like the device. It's pretty darn cool. Unfortunately, it's really, really expensive. I mean,
super
we're talking
expensive.
about $600. And here's a downside, right? And I still think there's this downside here, is that if I have a Yumi, and I want to talk to you, you have to have a Yumi too.
Right,
So
right,
talk
which I
about
don't understand.
$1,200
Yeah, it's $1,200, and then two people spending $25 a month,
a month.
which
Yeah,
and
it's just like
basically
okay.
you're gonna buy it for grandma. I mean, that's basically what the
Yeah,
point of
that's a
that
lot of
is.
money for. I mean, listen, Grandma, I love you, I really do. You're awesome, but I'm not spending $600
Well,
on
for
you.
that amount of money, why not buy grandma an iPad and you can do the little
Thank
video
you.
chat thing there? And
That's it.
I think
Very
that's a
much
lot
fair.
easier to use for grandma.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Now they did lower the price on the Yumi, which is okay. It went to like $500 from six, and they dropped it again to four. They dropped the monthly service charge, so they knew they had a dud on their hands. And so right now they're gonna take the Yumi back and actually put it into a B2B situation where they're gonna make it part of telepresence. So good for them. I mean, I think it's a good product. I just don't think it is a good product for consumers.
No,
That's all.
So
it's
what do
not.
you guys think? As cell phones are kind of replacing the need for that day-to-day cam, even your digital camera, and now we're seeing that it's taking the place enough for market share wise for a video camera. Is there not no longer a need for something like a standalone video camera? I mean,
Oh,
I
absolutely. I mean,
think
you think about
it's
it, right? I
interesting to
mean,
think about. I was curious your take.
so my take on video cameras is this, right? Zev and I both use a Canon M300 when we go out to do actual, professional shoots, and the reason why we use that is because we have just a wide range of features that we can actually use on that camera. We got 720p and some other stuff that we use on there, um, and autofocus and it stabilizes. I mean, the whole list of issues why we purchase a camera of that caliber. When you're talking about a smartphone, you don't have any of those features in a smartphone, right? I mean, there's no stabilization. That's the main problem with having a smartphone
Right.
and running video, and a host of other issues as well. So and again, having your smartphone and recording any video, that's such a consumer market. Uh, you're not going to catch a prosumer or even a professional using a smartphone to actually do professional video. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that eventually, yeah, unless the laws of physics change and the ability of cameras to be really small and have amazing indoor quality, it's pretty much just going to be an outdoorsy and
Quick thing.
yeah, and a subpar allowed situation. So
Yeah.
when you get that little thing of little Johnny taking his first few steps, you don't really care if it's
Yeah, it's
perfect
cute.
quality and it's got awesome lighting. You just want to get
Yeah.
it done right then. And I think that the shirt pocket camera experience, I think that's really what these are
That's where it's
designed
at.
for. You always have it with you. So in the market itself, I agree with you, Dan. I think is kind of it's kind of lost now. What that specific device was designed to be is exactly what the cell phone is, which is I stick it in my pocket, and when these little happenstances happen, I could just pop it out, take the picture, and put it back in my pocket real quick. Yeah, I think that pretty much that specific market is coming down as the cell phones get better. The niche market where I think a lot of things like a lot of companies like Kodak are doing are the waterproof market, right? You don't necessarily want to take out your cell phone at the beach or at the pool, so you'll buy a camera specifically that is an all weatherproof type of scenario where if it falls, it falls. If it goes underwater, it's fine, and then you can take videos that way. Otherwise, you're going to probably graduate up to a higher quality video camera for those big
Yeah.
events that you're going to want long-term video.
Sure. And
Yeah.
then also those big events or that semi-professional to professional video recorders. I mean, you have the three main things that anybody shooting video looks for, right? You have good lighting. Depending on how large that lens is, you have good lighting coming in. Audio. A lot of these cameras have very very good audio. So I don't really need a shotgun mic on top of that. And what's the third one? Just stabilization. I mean, that's
Yes.
key, right? Stabilization is key because you walking around, bouncing around. I mean, that's gonna be an issue as well. So that's my take on the industry. But
Yeah, I agree.
who am I? Just a bald guy sitting in Staten Island. TextGauge. Now this is from Vision Studios. This is kind of a cool free app, which I believe is only for right now for the Android platform.
Yes.
And it sounds really cool. I know texting and driving is illegal in a lot of states. I really believe it should be a federal law across the entire country, but it's not. It's just state by state. But this particular application, once installed on an Android smartphone and senses that it's moving faster than 2 miles an hour, which at that point in time, you're assuming you're in a car, it locks out your phone so you can't text. This is pretty cool. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is, and I've seen a few different either carriers or apps that are kind of approaching this from similar angles, and what I've seen, kind of the criticism people are saying, gosh, do we have to dummy-proof everything, and do we really need this, and can't you just turn off the phone? But I think, the reality is that, people could really use something like this that makes it just that much easier to break that habit. And I think I've carried a smartphone with me for a number of years, and it's just almost second nature now to want to check your email when you have a down second, or whether it's sitting in traffic or something. For whatever reason, it's that impulse. And having an app or a service like this, I think sometimes you kind of need that to help break those bad habits. So I think it's wonderful. I wish that every phone had something like this installed in it nowadays.
Yeah, I think that the number one thing that you really have to be concerned about is make sure that you're plugged in, because if it's using GPS or any other service and it's constantly on, if you're driving an hour and you're not plugged in, you're gonna have no phone left.
Right.
So that's an important thing to make sure you have. Make sure you use the app or give the app to your kids, but make sure you also supply a plug-in charger for the phone, so that when they get to their destination, they'll actually be able to pick up that phone call that you want to talk to them about.
And speaking of that, a lot of the things that initially people come off with are, what if I'm a passenger in the car? How can it tell the difference?
Right.
Or, what if I want to, I'm sitting on a bus or something, and these things usually have some sort of off switch. There's a way to bypass it. One that I saw, if say your child hit the bypass switch, you could program it so that it would then send the parent an email letting you know if they frequently hitting the bypass switch, which is nice. But I think the whole point is, it's not that it's gonna be a way to lock down your phone, but it's kind of reminding you, hey, have some safe habits while you're driving.
Yeah, don't text while driving.
Like you said, sometimes you just kind of need that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's pretty insane how they did a study between DWIs and or accidents while intoxicated, and accidents while texting, and accidents while texting was 8 times higher than while drinking and driving. That to me was amazing.
That's crazy.
That's amazing and rather dangerous, and unfortunate, because in this country we have more teens with smartphones today. So that's well, not smartphones, just phones in general. So texting away and driving 8 times more probable of running into an accident. That's a recipe for disaster. It really is. And I think this application is great. Now, if we can couple this application with state laws, or some kind of sponsored state law that says, listen, anytime a kid gets into a car, this application needs to be on there, or something like that. I'm not saying that we need to be all police state about it, but this is some serious stuff. This is not you're going to get a hangnail if you're texting and driving. No, you can kill yourself. You can kill other people. This is
and I think that's a fair viewpoint, because you think about how, for younger drivers especially, we already have things like curfews in place, or requirements for them to have an adult passenger in the car or somebody with them, that this would just be one more kind of safeguard to put in place for new drivers. And it's been a while, but I can somewhat remember when I started learning to drive myself. Any little distraction, that's going to make it that much more difficult when you're kind of learning. And why not have a little bit of, have this in place where it's a requirement that if you're going to have a cell phone in the car, you need to have some sort of protective service like this. I think it's a fair thing to go after.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know for myself, I have to catch myself sometimes. I guess it's just I don't know if I'm in technology, so I feel I need to be connected. So every second that I'm away from the computer, I'm like, oh, someone was tweeting me. I heard a bleep. I heard a bang. I heard a boop. All kinds of stuff go on. So when you're at a stoplight, you're almost trying to get something in those 2 minutes until it changes again.
It's like an itch, and you have to scratch it.
You just have to get it. So it's not even just kids either. It's just all of us. I think all of us have to figure that out a little bit, and that's why they do it on the GPS systems also. That they give you that long paragraph before, don't use this while operating the vehicle in motion, blah blah blah. But everybody does it. Mm-hmm. Every single person uses their GPS while we're driving. That's just how it is. But I think that in many ways it's very dangerous. We're like we said in the previous show. We're kind of in a time right now where we're in a transitional period with the technology that we can't be completely hands-free. We have to be hands-on with these devices, doing email, doing texting, doing calling. To some degree, we can do voice. Like, for example, on the iPhone, if you hold down the home key for 3 seconds or more, you can start voice doing selections. If you on certain devices, I know the MyTouch 3G had it. It had a button specifically so you can do voice activation, voice control. So there are phones out there that you can do that, and of course you have Ford MySync where it'll read you the texts or emails or
stuff like that. That's a nice feature there too. I mean,
absolutely.
Granted, you have to buy a whole new car to get that functionality. If you can't, God bless you. But the functionality is fantastic. I mean, it just lends itself to additional safety features built into the car now. If you can speak text, you can get a text message read back to you. You can interact with those text messages. Same thing with making the phone calls. It's a wonderful system, and it's a great safety feature that me as a parent I would love, and even me as a dad or just a plain old driver would just absolutely love. Just hop into the car, I get a text message, and it can be read to me, and I can actually read back my response to that text message.
Right.
That would be pretty awesome. And I can see more and more cars integrating some type of system like that. Not necessarily the Ford MyTouch, but definitely their own version of that same system, which is pretty awesome.
No, for sure.
And talking about cars, and I know that Zev was when I saw this story, and I was like, oh, I gotta put the story up because Zev will definitely like this. So Zev, you actually mentioned this to me. I think it was like well over a year ago.
Yeah.
You said, listen, electric cars are definitely the way of the future, but we just need to figure out a more an easier way of charging the car. Because getting this big long extension hose and plugging it into an outlet is kind of impractical. We need some kind of template or some kind of floor plate or something that these cars can get charged from. And voila, Zev, your wish came true. Someone was actually bugging your house or something. Yeah. So this is pretty cool from BMW, huh?
This is very, very cool. So this is my take. This is a really great idea. I'll throw it up on here. It's actually a really good idea. It works with, of course, Ray and I have demoed. I don't know if you've had a chance to try this out, Dan, for inductive charging devices. So, for example, with a cell phone with a certain battery pack on it, you put it on the charger.
For a cell phone, I haven't tried with anything else yet.
So that's kind of the idea behind what they have going on here. Basically, what it is it's a car parking space that the towns or municipalities or parking lots set up a charging dock at each spot, and then as you put your car over that dock, similar to how that inductive charging works, it begins the charging process. And it says it's got about 90% efficiency to an actual plug-in. So rather than having to build a whole above ground system and then manually taking out a plug and charging it and then taking it out, making sure that you don't drive the car away with the plug-in and all that stuff that I'm sure will happen if they go that route. So this is a great solution for infrastructure development, all that stuff. My only criticisms of this are, number one, the amount of electricity that is going to be required to make all of these parking spaces have charging is daunting. I don't think we can.
Windmills, man.
Oh, windmills. I know. So the other thing that I wanted to show you that I kind of like better. There's a company called Better Place. So
Okay.
so Better Place, the way Better Place works is it's similar to an EV. It's basically an EV drive up station. So it's if you've ever gone to if you've ever gone to one of those gas stations that have those mini car wash places,
Right.
where you just drive through it and it washes your car and then you come out the other side. So this would replace the gas station. What happens is your car battery that sits under the car is replaceable, similar to any other device. So you drive your car in, it puts it on a rail similar to a car wash. It drives it through, brings it to the charging station. A robot comes and takes off your old battery, puts on a brand fresh new charged up battery, and then you drive out. And it's done, I think, with 2 to 3 minutes.
Very nice.
So that way you're always constantly getting a fresh charge. And it just makes, I just look at it like I think this makes a lot more sense rather than, and of course you have the option to plug in of your car itself when you get home. You don't have to have a replacement battery at home. You could just plug in. But the founder of the company basically had a whole argument about this, in that if you think of the physics that are required to charge rapidly anything, you have to put such a massive amount of power in to rapidly charge that, whether it's lithium ion or nickel metal hydride, cadmium, whatever form or solution you come up with to do the hydrogen, whatever it is.
Right.
The easier way would just simply to be make really big cell phone batteries or computer batteries, and that way it just detaches, reattaches a fresh new one, and it just keeps a bay of charging batteries for you in this little pod. So I think that's a better solution. I think this is a really good solution. I think it could be incorporated. I think you could get it both, because I don't think, yeah.
I would say I think you're right, because when you think about the bigger thing for me is that this is an instant charge for you. It's not as though you're plugging in or leaving your vehicle for a certain amount of time while that charge takes place. It's that as soon as that new battery pack's in place, you can keep driving. And I feel like that's one of the things that I like most about just gas-powered vehicles, is that, you know, it takes a couple of minutes, but I plug in the gas, there, and I fill up my tank, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about plugging it in overnight or anything like that. So just replace your battery that quickly. I think that's going to be a really darn good solution for people, and it'll solve that whole issue of, well, I can't take my car on a road trip, because keep just driving and make sure you kind of map out where these battery swap out places are, and you should be fine.
Right. It's similar to just a regular gas station approach.
Yeah, but I say that there needs to be a combination of solutions, right? I mean, what Zev is showing here, Better Place is one. This prototype that BMW is working on as well. So there should be just a small set of solutions, because one particular solution may work better in certain locations than others. So I'm assuming that might be the case as well. Zev, in California, before Governor Schwarzenegger left office, didn't he sign into law or do something along the lines where they were piloting some kind of program with electric cars, and the state or somebody was funding to have these electric gas stations put into place?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of initiatives. California really happens to be at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. Google specifically has a lot of programs going on, specifically with solar charging and their solar docking stations that they have at I think at the Googleplex.
Okay.
But yeah, there are a bunch of initiatives that they're doing. I forget there's what's so it's funny you mentioned that. So I've had the domain zevnet.com for a long time, right? Because my name is Zev.
Oh, yeah.
But Zev also means zero emission vehicle. So zevnet.net is this California initiative for zero emission vehicle cars. They stole my logo many years ago. Yeah, so I don't know, it must have been 20 or something.
This is going to be like your Winklevoss.
Yes, this is my Winklevoss. So yes, I am a Winklevi right now.
That was nice, Dan.
They stole my logo, but
They
no,
stole my idea.
I'm fine with it. It's a good cause. If they want to use my logo, I don't really care. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Unless they want to pay me money, then by all means, go right ahead. I'll send you an address. But no, so that was just a funny thing. But no, zero emission vehicle. There's an actual program that they have for electric cars and trying to get docking stations. Now they had. Where was it? I was reading this week. There's a whole thing where they were. Callie Lewis talked about it, right? She talked about it this week, about that they're expanding in certain areas.
Cool.
Texas also should be getting some as well. But yeah, there's a bunch of places that are getting some very, very cool on the street technology charging stations. But there's just a handful of these devices, these cars around. I mean, what do you have? You have your Teslas. There's two other manufacturers which I can't even think of, and that just shows you how great their marketing is, and the price range. But
yeah, I mean, for now, you come think about it. I'm sure these cars are fairly expensive.
Very expensive.
Very complicated to upkeep. You just can't drive it into your local mechanic and have them, change out the oil. So these are fairly complicated cars, and so it's going to take some time. And unfortunately, we lack government backing, we lack private industry backing. These cars don't use petrol, don't use oil, don't use gasoline. As far as I know, right, Jeff? They don't use any of that stuff. They're all bio-free.
That's correct. 100% electric.
Yeah, so you have these companies like an ExxonMobil saying, "Oh, wait a minute, we make more of our money on oil than anything else. We lose money here with this." So, it's not a win-win for a lot of people that are actually still in power or still have control of the keys in the kingdom. So.
Yeah, no, I do think that this is definitely where we have to go. If everyone is serious about our consumption of foreign sources of energy, we're going to have to solve this in some way. And even if you stay in coal, even if you stay in some form of oil, even if you stay in nuclear, notice I said nuclear, okay? But no, but even if you stay in these sources of fuel, the amount of money that is still saved by providing that solution over the wire is still less expensive overall if you bring in the externalities of all the cost than purchasing gas or oil in the home. So even if you are delivering electricity, it's still much cheaper per kilowatt of actual kinetic energy than than actually having gas, having oil, having some natural gas. So.
And as a parent, I have to say that to me, the price of gasoline is ultimately going to be something that drives me to getting a new vehicle, where I think of how much it costs just to commute. And, you start thinking in terms of dollars when gas gets to be $4 or $5 a gallon, that how much does it really cost to, live a little further out from the city, and so you can buy a little bit more land, but yet you're further away from all those activities that your kids want to do, the soccer practice and all that. Or even, my wife and I were just looking at taking a road trip to go see my mother-in-law, and so that she could spend some quality time with her grandson, and just looking at the cost differences between a flight versus train, or how much would it cost to actually drive there. That's a big factor. So for me, ultimately, the more gas goes up, ultimately that dollar figure is going to be what pushes me to purchase an electric car instead of getting a hybrid or anything like that. It's going to be what's the most economical thing for my family.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with you there, Dan. And the last story for the night is one that is kind of near and dear, close to our hearts, because we all have kids. Is cyberbullying. I mean, I love the fact that these college teachers, the students, pretty much and the parents, welfare officers, are all getting together and uniting in saying that cyberbullying is not cool in any shape, way, or form. And they are encouraging any of their students who are getting bullied, just raise your hand and say it. Raise your hand and say it, and say exactly who is bullying you, and the school will take care of that person. I mean, I really think this is fantastic. I mean, I know that
nobody likes a tattletale. You're just going to get a wedgie.
Yeah, right. or
I agree, though. It sounds like
as I like to do that.
It's neat to hear they're doing this.
But I really think this is really important here. I mean, I know that our own Congress is trying to pass, the cyberbullying laws, and I'm sure the states are doing the exact same thing. but we all know that laws take a very long time to go through and get ratified, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's wonderful to see it being taken care of at the local level. The school is taking an active role in making sure that this kind of nonsense just completely, well, not completely stops, but is curtailed as much as possible. And kudos to, who is it, to Rawville Secondary College.
And
Good
it's
for
a
you
good
guys.
example of how common sense can often be a more effective way of policing these kinds of things than actually having to pass laws that by their system they put in place, you don't have to have government pass laws and do these fines and things that they've created a culture that, is making bullying something that they just don't
Zero
want.
tolerance,
And
basically.
I wish more places would put this into
Yeah.
practice.
For sure. I think that the number one thing that can be done. I mean, you can legislate a lot of things, but behavior is a very difficult thing to legislate on behalf of. But as long as the administration is taking it seriously, that they're aware that it occurs, that's the first thing. Second thing, of course, is making sure that they convey that to students all the way up through, from pre-K all the way up, to past kindergarten, to past senior year. So even in college, it occurs. So that's kind of the most important thing. Is there's nothing worse than a kid feeling like they're completely alone, that they're experiencing something that no one else is experiencing, that they're going through a difficulty that no one else has gone through. Kids kind of feel isolated when they go through something to that degree. They feel like they're the only one in the world that's being persecuted, not really realizing out there that it happens a lot, and
Sure.
you can move on from there. There's life after bullying, and there are ways to get over it and get work through it, and to make sure these people aren't doing what they're going to do again. Um, you know, people. There are lots of bad people out there. There are lots of jerks, and you just have to kind of learn how to deal with them. But having a little bit of encouragement and in a good way, hand holding through the process of other people who have gone through it, and making sure that trying to prevent it from actually happening. So I give these students kudos
Yeah.
on a
Good
great
job.
project.
Good deal. And
Yeah,
I really hope this becomes viral. I really hope this becomes viral, and school districts across the country begin to, take a little more responsibility on their own,
for sure.
and say, listen, we have zero tolerance. If anybody's being bullied, just raise your hand. Raise your hand, and we'll take care of it. We'll call the parents in. We'll do A. We'll do 2. We'll do C. Whatever it takes. Because as I've just said, it takes a while for laws to get passed. It really does, and unfortunately, things of this nature should really be taken care of at the local level, and I think to be much more effective at the local level than passing a state law or federal law.
For sure.
Which still, I think they should still pass those laws regardless.
Yeah, I think you can have guidelines. For example, Board of Education, the boards of education. There can be guidelines that may be national, not enforced guidelines, but guidelines so that it gives these groups kind of the tools to be able to determine, okay, what is the most common way that cyberbullying happens? What platform is it on? Is it one-to-one? Is it direct? Is it after? Is it texting? Is it specific electronic equipment? Is it this type of? Is it sexual in nature? So there are all these different things and how to cope with that. So if you can give the tools to these boards of education, these groups, these teachers, these parent-teacher organizations, if you can give these tools to people to understand, number one, it happens, and number two, you have to figure out what's the best way of attacking it, because it has to be addressed. So that's really, yeah.
I was going to say the other thing I really like about this is that it creates a climate where the kids feel comfortable
For sure.
raising their hand and sharing that they are being bullied. And what I see a lot is that the bullying takes place and the kids feel intimidated, not wanting to address it. I mean, you don't want to get that wedgie in retaliation. But the thing
Right.
is that the kids need to have a safe environment, and that's what counteracts a lot of this too. So it's good for this school that they've created that opportunity for the kids to feel comfortable enough to say, I don't appreciate this, and to basically feel comfortable saying no.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Well, guys, with that said, it is another show in the. I don't want to say can, because Lilo Port
Yeah.
says can. Think of something else. Another show is done. That sounds lame.
When are we
If
going to
you
get
want
our
to check
beer
us out,
sponsor? I'm still waiting for this.
Yeah.
We are actually our shows are normally on Justin TV at Mondays at 9 p.m. But we're doing a little swap, a little mix up here, and or mixing it up actually. And we're actually on UStream right now. So UStream TV Mondays at 9 p.m. EST. Today we're on Tuesday because we had an event yesterday and we had to skip the day. But catch us on Mondays 9 p.m. EST on Justin TV. And if you want to catch the rest of our digital properties, you can always head over to breakbumper.tv. You want to check us out at Twitter, it is breakbumpertv. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful show.
Thank you.
And we will all be back next week. Peace out.
Later, guys.
Oh!